Me now are two members of Congress, both from Florida, Democratic Congresswoman Lois Frankel and Republican Congressman Francis Rooney. Thank you both for being with us here. And a little symbolic. We have seen a lot of Democrats and Republicans standing side by side, in some cases arm in arm, over the last 24 hours. Congressman Frankel, can that last?
Well, Hallie, good to be with you. First, obviously, yesterday was a shocking, sad day, and our thoughts go out to those who were hurt. We're grateful to the Capitol Police, of course. The thing is, there are very, very sharp disagreements here on how to move the country forward. But what we have to insist that we resolve our differences with words and the political process, not violence. And where it's possible to find common ground. What has been, I think what has been a mistake that I've seen, and I want to say this in the spirit of bipartisanship. First of all, I do think bipartisanship, and when you work together, you get a better product. My experience has been you should have an inclusive process. Right now, Republicans really have the number of members to vote out anything they want. They don't have to include Democrats in what they're doing.
But that's not going to change, right, Congresswoman? I mean, the numbers are the numbers. So how does the rhetoric get dialed back? And Congressman Rooney, jump in here.
Well, first of all, our hearts, our prayers, our thoughts are focused on Steve Scalise and the other people so affected by this horrible tragedy. And I join my colleague in thanking the Capitol Police for saving many, many lives yesterday. It's a great honor to stand with my colleague Lois Frankel from the East Coast. Nobody better to talk about civility in government. I think we need to think about what we're doing here and what the media is doing in inflaming people around the country to maybe take some actions they might not otherwise take. They might not have the perspective that we have, that Democrats and Whigs, Democrats and Republicans have aired policy disagreements for 240-something years in a spirit of civility, all focused on doing the best for the American people.
On that, Mark Sanford, and when we talk about political dialogue and political rhetoric that both of you have addressed here, said something this morning, and I want to play it for you, and I want to get both of your reactions after you listen to it. Here it is.
I would argue that the president has unleashed is partially, again, not in any way totally, but partially to blame for demons that have been unleashed. You've got the top guy saying, well, I wish I could hit you in the face, and if not, why don't you, and I'll pay your legal fees. That's bizarre. We ought to call it as such. They'll say, look, if the guy at the top can say anything to anybody at any time, why can't I? I think we all need to look for ways to learn from what happened yesterday and to say, wait a minute, this is a pause moment. Yeah. What might I do a little bit differently in the way that I reach out to other members?
So Mark Sanford saying the president is partially to blame for the demons that have been unleashed. Congressman Rooney, your reaction first, then Congressman Frankel to you.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I think there are a lot of people in public life at the higher levels right now that are to blame for having inflamed and enlarged a very delicate situation that we're facing. Many people have said very bad things about the president as well.
Congresswoman Frankel?
Well, listen, I think the president needs to be a role model. I am perplexed by his tweeting, the things that he says. But I think we all have to take personal responsibility for our own behavior. And what the president, what he says or does, does not justify an act of violence like we saw yesterday.
Congresswoman Frankel, Congressman Rooney, both from... Thank you very much for your perspective and for this picture, Republican and Democrat, side by side.